the Trillion Trees podcast hosted by Saad Al-Lawala. Join the movement. 1 trillion trees by 2030. Tune in for inspiring stories, groundbreaking ideas, and real solutions to tackle climate change. Listen to it. Watch every Saturday, 4 p.m. Make an impact now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Trillion Trees podcast. I'm Nafe, and today's conversation is part of a new 2026 series where we're intentionally centering voices from Pakistan, especially people building climate action from the ground up. At Trillion Trees, we'd had conversations across Africa, Europe, and beyond. But this year, we wanted to slow down, come home, and listen more closely to what's being built locally by students, by youth, by people who don't always get the mic. For those tuning in for the first time, Trillion Trees is a global climate platform working across reforestation, nature-based solutions, and partnerships, but just as importantly, storytelling. We believe climate progress isn't only about projects, it's about people, it's about leadership, and it's about lived experience. Today, I'm really excited because this isn't a typical expert interview. We're joined by the founding member of the Climate Institute Student Chapter Pakistan, a fully student-led initiative translating global climate goals into local action. We have with us Awais, who leads innovation and the chapter at Pakistan. Thank you for being here and for building something this ambitious while still being student. So
Thank you so much for inviting me.
I want to very simply, with no title, no organization. I want to start with you. How did you start? Where do you come from? And to personally, how did you find your way into the climate work?
Firstly, एक तो बात हम ये कर सकते हैं कि everyone in Pakistan should have the opportunity just like I did. I started learning about the climate not from the environment but from systems, from diagrams, from companies, from businesses. Because मैं पैदा लाहौर में मैं शुरू से लाहौर में ही था, and all the rest of my family lives in America, so we keep on visiting there as well. My father, he's been working in this stuff for a long time now. So I started learning from him how the world works, how companies work, how systems work, right? And after that, the first initial opportunity I got to centrally work in climate, environment, sustainability was in 2022. I went to Turkey, where there's a university, Uzayn University, and they're pretty well known in Turkey. I started learning there with professors, and one of the few notable professors were Dr. Minar, Dr. Jem, and it was almost, you could say, a sustainability camp. उधर हमें ये दिखाया था and सिखाया था कि how these systems are working and integrating the environment and sustainability into multiple things. Like, I mean, the scale that they had, how the university, the electricity, they were managing its sustainability, the human workflow, human resources, when the students came in, how they would save energy and how they would efficiently manage that. So they were looking at all this stuff. And once I learned that, uske baad I started deep diving. I had multiple internships regarding sustainability and campaign awarenesses. I had programs and community workshops with companies like the Center for Climate, Environment and Economic Research. I had multiple opportunities like this, which basically taught me, एक तो होता है कि सिखाया जाए, मगर उसके बाद I learned how to manage this stuff and how to create, tangible efforts which can lead to impact in our society. So, should I go over how we started the Climate Institute student chapter?
Yeah, that is a follow-up question that will come along. I wanted to just have like a more background on you, like where you
Yeah.
come from and your experience, your education, that kind of thing. So that is really interesting because starting from academia, education and academia is the most fundamental part of how you understand these things. And right now we have the awareness of the social media and we'll get through where we talk about where we see the climate change and how the impact that is being created through that. Like, was there any moment where you felt, where climate stopped being abstract for you? Abhi hum log, like I said, in social media, it's about कि अच्छा एक climate change की एक narrative होती है कि climate change, global warming हो रही है, but what about the climate became a step for you to take on this work that you're doing right now?
See, the main thing about climate was कि आजकल what everyone thinks is कि climate आपने सुन लिया उसका मतलब है ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रही है, दरख्त काटे जा रहे हैं, ठीक है, आप कूड़ा फेंक रहे हो. But that's not how it works. I realize कि everyone in whatever they're doing can in somehow contribute to the way that we are fixing our environment and we are contributing to making a good climate, right? Economics से लेके business, construction, all these efforts, right? So मेरा ये था कि I saw climate as a bigger picture जिधर different walks और different inputs आते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अब जो हम अभी प्रोजेक्ट्स भी लीड करते हैं वो ये तो नहीं है ना कि हम we're planting trees. I mean obviously it's an integral part. The tree drives should happen and litter drives should happen where you're cleaning the streets. But apart from that, you need to find solutions. So instead of looking at as a one trick pony के environment सिर्फ hands on है, हमने देखा कि how we can see everything through it. So that's the main point.
So the Climate Institute is a DC-based, global, and policy-heavy in many ways. I'm curious, why did it feel so important to create a student chapter here in Pakistan instead of just participating from afar? As president, what gap were you seeking that made you think, okay, we need something here local and we need students who want to lead it?
So Iski, like that point you made was very nice because when I initially contacted the Climate Institute, मुझे मिला था offer कि okay, first you should do an internship with us. We can look at how you solely can come and work with the Climate Institute. और उसके बाद हम देखते हैं. I was like, no, that's not gonna happen because what we're aiming for is different. It's really important to start a student chapter and especially in Pakistan because मैं अगर पाकिस्तानी हूँ, मैं इधर बैठा हुआ हूँ लाहौर में, तो मुझे पता है जो बाकी लोग नहीं देखते कितना पोटेंशियल है, कितना अनटैप्ड रिसोर्स है in the students of Pakistan. And to see that and to start a student chapter organization is the integral part कि we are leading this and that it's in our hands. इसके अलावा ये भी है कि now it's like we have the resources to mobilize a lot of knowledge, a lot of resource, a lot of on hands work from these students, right? So by starting the student chapter organization, I feel like हम जो एक बहुत बड़ी gap थी between students or shall I say Pakistani youth and the climate action that they can take for Pakistan.
Okay, yeah, that's a good answer. What does, like we generally understand with its name, the Climate Institute, it's about awareness, it's about education, but from deep within, as a leader of this movement, what does localizing a global mission actually look like in practice? What projects are you going to be working with, or what are the goals of the Climate Institute Student Chapter Pakistan right now?
Okay, so localizing it means three main things. First, communication and hands-on work, right? Our main goals as the student chapter organization is to I'll keep on repeating this, mobilize the youth of Pakistan. What I mean by this is that we deliver knowledge to all these students and the youth all over, and they can effectively use that knowledge to start hands-on approaches and work. And what we're looking at is basically solution-based projects. You know, there's been a sudden uprise for the last 2 years in biodegradable research all over the world by students. There's been an uprise in technological advancements for air purification. There's been an uprise in how sustainable construction practices work. मैं खुद in 2024, I had a personal project for my school on how sustainable construction can work. So when we will and we have started teaching all these things, right? उसके बाद everyone will have the ability to start their own projects and start mobilizing their knowledge. So the student chapter, more of banding people together. It's also about teaching them and it's also about mobilizing them. और जब वो खुद individually ये सारे projects शुरू कर लेंगे, तो no doubt there will be a sizable impact on the environment of Pakistan, right?
So, Pakistan is often, described as climate vulnerable, but that phrase can feel a lot distant. So, what does climate vulnerability actually look like in your everyday lives as, students, as young people who are living in this country?
मुझे लगता है कि when we take the term climate vulnerability, it's basically कि कितना volatile situation है अभी पाकिस्तान में, or we could say in areas of Pakistan. For example, the most biggest example we have right now is smog. It's all over Pakistan. When flash rains happen, there's flash floods, right? जो flooding northern regions में हुई है, ये सारे factors जब आप लेते हो, तो you can put it as the term climate vulnerability because of the fact कि हमसे अभी at least right now ये चीजें effectively manage नहीं हो रही. We can't curb them. So uh, the areas and local places are very volatile to the effects of pollution, right? उसी तरह smog आती है, उसी तरह ये सारे bad effects आते हैं. So I believe as students, जब भी हम बाहर निकलते हैं, अगर हम स्कूल भी जा रहे हैं, स्कूल के अंदर हैं, जब हम देखते हैं कि हमें एक क्लास से बाहर नहीं निकलने जाना देता बिकॉज बाहर एयर क्वालिटी बहुत बुरा है, या फिर हम स्पोर्ट्स लेसन में नहीं जा सकते बिकॉज एयर क्वालिटी इतनी गिर गई है कि हमारे लिए सेफ ही नहीं है, या फिर वी गो आउट ऑन द रोड्स, people are going to university, people are going to work, and it's filled to the brim with water. There's no way you can pass. When you look at this stuff, आपको you start realizing कि कितना significant है कि we have to start take action, right? And that's how I believe मैं खुद भी इसी तरह शुरू किया था, because if I didn't see this thing hands on, I wouldn't have started, right?
True, that's a good answer to that. And with personal experience as well, with my entry into the whole climate thing was as it was at A levels के अंदर ही when I was we were working for a competition, and then it was we were looking at extracurriculars and stuff, and then my entry was to just feel that I was like how everyone was doing NGOs and student-led stuff and initiatives just for college applications and stuff. But what actually did in terms of like for us was research and actually getting to know about it. So we wrote a research paper on how we were working on bagasse and like biomass stuff, and then we also made another eco-friendly like product. I don't remember at this point, but it's been that was my first entry into the climate space. And then it was with an organization called Climate Forward Pakistan, which where I did like a pre-COP session with them, and that's the whole journey of how you get to know about it. And you, like you pointed out, like having those hands-on experiences and live experiences into getting this. So my next question, comes from that. So, and why do you believe, case whatever the students are, not just policymakers or NGOs, are right now very critical in translating this climate science or policy into real action here, especially in Pakistan? We're taking the context of Pakistan here because, like, we see okay, in Western countries or abroad, what kind of actions are being taken there, like in where we live in sort of a politically clogged constitution where policies and other initiatives cannot go through red tapes, etc. And climate being one of the very fundamental spaces, even though Pakistan sits at a very critical point on the globe in terms of climate and other political, geopolitical stuff. So why do you feel like students should be the next people who are taking this conversation forward?
Firstly, like the one sentence which everyone understands is that we are the future. All of us, all the students of Pakistan, the youth of Pakistan. So and there's a certain conceptualization that once you get into an age then it's your responsibility. एक तो तब भी लोग responsibility नहीं लेते, but
Hmm.
it becomes कि now, okay, now I have civic sense now, it's my turn to like give back, contribute. That's wrong. आप हर एज पे contribute कर सकते हो. And secondly, as the students of Pakistan, as young people, I believe that learning new stuff, embracing new opportunities, and creating new solutions is much, much more, I wouldn't say easier, but I would say easily embraced, right?
Hmm.
When on my level, when I start communicating with the youth, मेरे लिए तो खुद easy है ना, मेरे सारे I can relate with them, I myself can work with them. जो I think it's critical because the gap between, how do I say this, the like let's say the elders of Pakistani society and the youth of Pakistani society, it's अब बहुत कम होगी कई sectors में, but it's still there, right? So where it's really critical to tap in right now, start working with everyone, with the students of Pakistan, because when they reach that responsibility, when they reach that sense of mind, कि, okay, even at this age, I have this in my hands, तो फिर it's guaranteed that things will change, stuff will improve, right? I feel like it's critical कि at an early pace शुरू हो जाए सारा कुछ, ताकि बाद में जाके हम देखें तो चीजें बेहतर हो.
Okay. So, what do you feel like is the hardest part of running a student-led nonprofit here in Pakistan? Because we all, come from that kind of a route where we have either led or volunteered in some capacity in these student-led organization. I'm not saying that in a degrading way. I'm saying that we have some sort of experience in all community work and social work, and some of us have actually, when we're into it, seen the impact that it creates and seen the conversations that go forward from that, and what kind of, a in from inside you feel this content of doing it. So leading it, what do you feel like is the hardest thing right now?
I mean, अभी तक जो मैंने देखा है, I feel like it's mainly communication and tapping in. What I mean by tapping in is that like to get people to come together to literally step by step start a project or start an event, start a conference which you're planning to do. I feel like that's hard because वही बात दोबारा आ जाती है कि significance of responsibility अभी नहीं आई उस तरह ना. So to there are many, like I can even take names. There are so many good people I've worked with, or like my friends, people in my school, people in my last school. उन्होंने बहुत मेरी मदद की है. But then it's also कि to speak to everyone generally, because you don't, अच्छा आपको 20 बंदे मिल गए, ठीक है आपको मिल के वो काम कर रहे हैं, you don't stop there. You're trying to scale your thing all over Pakistan, so you have to reach other people. I feel like that reaching other people and that communicating with other people and getting those people here is the hard part. And we've been working on that, and I feel like we are reaching that step where all the schools will have communication there, we'll have positions there, we'll have members and advocates of the environment there for the Climate Institute. So it's not like it's an immovable barrier, it's just an obstacle. And once you a single time learn how to overcome this obstacle, it's very easy because everyone's ready to work, right?
How do you think about innovation and then thinking outside the box in a space where like resources are limited, where you guys are a student led organization, but the urgency of what you're doing is really high at the moment. It's critical that people do know about climate and actually put themselves into perspectives.
Firstly, I feel like innovation, the broader term, when we look at students in Pakistan and when we say that we don't have resource, that right there is also a gap we're fulfilling right now, right? When I am in Pakistan and I'm communicating with the Climate Institute in Washington, D.C., they are providing me with resource. I'm communicating with multiple companies. So it's not like one can't have resources, one can't have affluency, one can't have backing to run all these programs. It's just that it's harder in Pakistan. And in terms of innovation, there is no doubt that there is a certain gap in the amount of resources you have hands-on. So to overcome that is what solutions are proposed and what solutions are made, right? For us as students, when I come together with the group, when I come together with the current Climate Institute student chapter organization, we look at, okay, we don't want to go the conventional route, okay? हमने conference set up करनी है, ठीक है, उसमें पैसे लगेंगे, वो एक दफा कर लेंगे. But that's not the problem. We want to look at how we can innovate in sense that you use that word again with solutions that are new, that are big and sizable on impact and that are efficient. उसमें हमारी काफी ज़्यादा working लगती है. So like a few examples are we figured out this chemical which can be made from household products, which is in essence, if it quickens the process of the degradability of plastic. Okay. And then we also are working on some materials which will increase the mineral count in soil, right? So that plants and other, grubs can grow there. So it's stuff like this where we look at, okay, we might not have this much technological capability, or we might not have this much monetary value, but we can still come up with these solutions which will definitely have sizable impact. उसमें working लगती है.
Definitely. Also, like in your answer, you just mentioned that you get resources and help from the DC organization itself. So dig deeper into that. Like, what kind of when you feel like when you started the chapter, what helped you sell it to them? Like you said, कि उन्होंने पहले कहा था कि internship करें आके, and they ask you to really work there before. But what do you think was the point where you sold it, the idea of a chapter here in Pakistan, and also what kind of information and resources are you getting from them is essentially my question.
So basically, this it's a very long story. This all started back in 2023. I, prior to this, met the CEO of the Climate Institute, but I didn't know that he was in that position at that time, Nasir Hatak. He is also a Pakistani. I feel like that is one of the very big reasons we have gotten this opportunity. But I remember it was in December of 2023, and we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and he was with my father, and we went to this factory. In that factory and that company, it was basically working on sustainable paints, which manage temperature, which decrease energy. And that's where my communication with Mr. Nasir Hatak started, right? After that, I feel like all the experiences that I've had, the internships, the programs, what I want to let reach every student in Pakistan is one of the major factors why I've been given this opportunity and why it's sold. And third, the vision. We have a very big vision for the Climate Institute. And I just want to say we're not just stuck in Pakistan. We're, inshallah, going global. And we're going to make Pakistan come on a global level and lead. So all these things combined with the experience, I believe I'm not a professional. I'm nothing right now. But I feel like the hands-on experiences that I've had with the environment sustainability is what I got, which allowed me to sell the idea, right? And that's how it got accepted.
That's really optimistic, as what I was saying, and kudos to you for taking that initiative and doing that. So what stands out to me right now is that the chapter isn't waiting for permission. It's designing a model that's student run, self-sustaining, and nationally inclusive, right? So let's take it to the future. If we're sitting here again in, like, let's say 3 years, what would success look like for the chapter? Not in terms of numbers, but in impact, culture, and like mindset shifts.
So success for the student chapter in 3 years would look like this. It would look like students all over Pakistan are now actively working towards the environment, projects are being run and constantly being created. Solutions are being innovated by the young people, and they're at the
Mm.
forefront in media, in business, in ecology, in agriculture. And the name of the student chapter organization is now global. And the students of Pakistan are now significant on a global level where they are working. And Pakistan itself has its environment improved and overall improved in a state matter.
Mm.
And I mean, I could go on for an hour about what I feel like could happen in 3 years, right? Success.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
the main thing is that I want the significance of the climate and environment to increase, right? And the way that people face it and bring solutions to change. And that's what I think is going to be successful.
Yeah. So let's like widen the lens here and like what excites you most about the future of climate action in Pakistan, despite, everything we know that is difficult right now. So yeah.
What excites me the most is honestly the students. It's been 7 months since we started this climate institute organization, and I believe um fourth month now since we've started working with schools, right? And the
Mm.
solutions and the ideas that I've been presented by students they're not only like huge in impact, but they're utilitarian, and they're in a sense that they can happen. It's not like they're going up to the skies. They actually have that sense of
Mm.
realism the solution they're proposing. And it excites me that when we start applying these solutions and when we start these projects, we gradually start to see that Lahore में litter कम हो रहा है, oxygen ज़्यादा rate पे आ रहा है, the AQI is improving, rain is coming back, and all these things. Like, it excites me a lot because when you see that the timeline is running, okay, आपका 10 दिन में कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, आपका 1 महीने में, आपका 2 महीनों में कुछ नहीं हुआ, but I guarantee you that in the third month when it's consistent, you will start to see changes, and inshallah
Mm.
in a year or two there will definitely be improvements, right?
Yeah,
That's what excites
definitely.
me the most because, and that's also the beauty of working with students because I feel like they're not bound by anything right now. सिवाय academics or school, हमें कुछ रोक तो नहीं रहा. So what we can think is much more open-minded, right?
Yeah, definitely. We are a little short on time, so I'll go to the advice segment. There are students who care, who are listening to this right now, and but they feel lost about taking an initiative, coming where conversations are being held. So if someone wants to enter the climate space right now, but doesn't know where to start, what would you honestly tell them?
Firstly, I will tell them to start reading. Okay. The most easy and best thing they can do is start to read. And by reading, I mean start learning about the environment, start learning about the climate. After that, just start doing research on organizations in your local area, projects that are happening, or opportunities that you can take to come into a leadership organization. If there's no organization, make the organization, right? That's the most important thing. And I really like how we can approach this because it's not hard. You learn about the climate environment and you start looking at your local area. And after that, it's like I can guarantee you that as a student, you will have impact and you will have the opportunity to work in these stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, that was a really good conversation that we just had. I'll end with this, conversations like these matter, not because they solve everything, but they remind us that climate action isn't abstract. It's built by people, often young, often unpaid, often figuring out as they go.
Yeah.
So thank you for building this chapter and for showing what student leadership in Pakistan can actually look like. We'll link the Climate Institute student chapter Pakistan below. If you're a student, educator, or collaborator, reach out to them. If you want to volunteer, they have their volunteer forms open up. They have an internship as well. I think so. They had it earlier. So apply to that. And to everyone listening, this is just the beginning of the conversations that we're having with the Pakistan Focus series. More conversations gonna come up really, really soon. So thank you for tuning in today. It
Yeah,
was
thank
me,
you so much for
Nafe.
having me, Nasir. And I had an amazing time here, and I really liked the opportunity, and I hope that you guys also have sizable impact.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for being here. This was me, Nafe, and we'll get back to you on the other podcast.